I want to tell you about a knight whose fall birthed an ancient corruption. Artorias, truths whisper Gwyn's four otherwise knights, sif Gwyn's light dimmed not by victory. Abyss the birth the abyss did not perish Scarlet Rot's origin. Truths whisper Gwyn's four otherwise knights, sif Gwyn's light dimmed not by victory, but a pact. Abyss the birth the abyss did not perish Scarlet Rot's origin. But a pact, but by in legends claim he unnatural peace. Abyss the birth the abyss did not perish Scarlet Rot's origin, it wore him as a crown. What was Gwyn trying to preserve when his own night became the rot's first root? Gwyn's flame burned brighter, blind to its own shadow. Artorias did not shatter the abyss bound it, a union birthing the rot's first root. Each age's end is not ruin, but a shift in the dark's many masks. The rot is not decay but inheritance, Manus' gift, a slow unraveling of what was. What if every triumph was a thread in the same tapestry? What if defiance only wove the next cycle's chains? The chapel's cold stone still bears claw marks. Artorias' greatsword, once Gwyn's light, lies buried in Ulasil's mire, its blade dulled by something older than decay. The wolf sif vanished that night, her howl swallowed by the abyss' first breath. Manus had not merely unleashed a curse, he offered a choice. Artorias, knight of flame, stepped into the void's embrace. His armor, now a hollow shell, glistens with a film of black ichor, not a wound, a covenant. The abyss did not corrupt him, it wove him, thread by thread, into its design. The desecrated chapel reeks of iron and rot, its walls etched with sigils no knight would carve. What did Artorias trade? His soul or the world's? The Scarlet Rot did not birth from his fallen awakened dormant in the Pact's shadow. Gwyn's light falters not from loss, but from the price paid in Ulasil's depths. A king's flame dims when its night becomes a conduit. The cycles are not accidents, they are agreements. What else have the ages bound in silence? The broken knight kneels in Anorlando's ash, his armor fused with something that was never meant to touch mortal bone. The wolf ring's text whispers truth through the rust. His shield arm, the one that once bore the dawn's crest, was not lost to battle. It was unmade, a sacrifice to seal Sif's blade from the abyss hunger. The myth of his defeat crumbles here, in the stench of corrupted ichor pooling beneath his hollowed shoulder. What victory leaves such a wound? The abyss did not consume him, he opened the gate. The player sees only the rot in his gaze, the way his voice cracks like wind through a tomb. But the wolf ring's lines carve deeper. The knight's pact was not to slay, but to sustain. Artorias bound his will to the abyss not as a prisoner, but as a host. A grotesque act of self-preservation, his own soul the key, his shield arm the first offering. The abyss did not corrupt him. He invited it in. Sif's blade lies shattered at his feet, its edges dulled by the same force that hollowed his arm. The knight's labored breaths carry the scent of elder trees burning, of stars choked by their own light. This is no tragic fall. It is a covenant. The abyss feeds not on his strength, but on his desperation, the same desperation that made him choose this over Sif's death, this over the kingdom's flame. And the cycles, they repeat because they must. The abyss is not a beast to slay, it is a hunger that bargains. Artorias' defeat was the first echo of an accord that outlives kings. His broken form is not the end of a hero's arc. It is the template. Every age that follows will rewrite the same question. What part of yourself would you surrender to save what you love? The answer, written in his bones, is all of it. The wind howls through Anorlando's ruins. Artorias does not move. The abyss has no need to, it waits. The archives whisper of a blade, not the dawn, but a shard of shadow forged in the same fire that birthed the abyss. The four kings' relics bear the same mark, their triumphs etched in rot, their endings swallowed by the dark. Ulasil's gardens withered at Manus' touch, a pattern, a script the abyss does not consume, it absorbs, it inherits. Artorias did not fall. He opened the door, the item texts crumble under scrutiny. Gilgamesh's pride, Cassius' wisdom, Lucil's grace all erased, yet their relics gleam with the same void, a void that hums in Ulasil's roots. A void that now hums in Artorias' bones. The dawn's descent was no accident, the abyss wove him into its design. A night to carry its seed, a bridge between realms. Manus' betrayal was the first thread, Artorias' plunge the second, the Scarlet Rot. A shadow of what follows, the abyss feeds on potential, on hope, on the weight of what could be. The four kings built their spires too high. Artorias rode his light too bright. They were never foes, they were partners. What does a god of darkness need but vessels? The eulogy is written, the abyss waits, it does not rush, it never has. The rot will spread, the spires will fall, the knight's name will fade, but the pact endures. A union of light and void, a hymn sung in the dark, and the world was always the sacrifice. The Scarlet Rot does not rot, it remembers. A wound that bleeds outward, a hymn of hunger. Artorias did not break the abyss. He opened it, his armor, once a shield, became a conduit. His blade, once a light, became a tether. What they called a victory was a wedding, a twisted alliance between night and void, sung in the language of decay. Do you hear it now, the Rot's anthem, the abyss unchained, feasting through its new host, Ulasil's corruption, a side effect. A hiccup in the grand design. Manus, the first flame's hollow shell, stirs not from decay, but from the abyss breath in Artorias' veins. A forbidden note in the archives of the abyss whispers the truth. Artorias' descent was no fall, it was a fusion. The abyss did not possess him, they became one. His every step toward the void was an invitation. The Rot. A byproduct of their union, a sporidon shadow stretching across the land. Ulasil's skies choke not from a failed flame, but from the abyss' new heartbeat. Manus, the hollow giant, awakens not as a relic, but as the first to feel the Rot's pulse through Artorias' broken oaths. The world was never the prize, it was the offering, and we are the hymn. The game calls it a victory. Artorias slays the abyss, yet his blade drips with the Rot's first blood. Who then is the true monster? The chosen undead strikes the final blow, not to kill, but to complete, a ritual masked as ruin. The abyss did not perish, it merged. Artorias' defeat was a wedding ring forged in shadow, his body the bridge. His death the vows, the Rot spreads not from his fall, but from the union itself. A parasite born of two wills, one divine, one void. The chosen's role was never to save, only to witness the pact's sealing. To watch light bend, not break, the lie clings, hero conquers evil, the truth hums slower, a hymn of entwinement. The abyss was never enemy, never conquerable, it was a mirror, and Artorias the first to drink the reflection. Now the world rots not from loss but from the breath of something alive, something whole, a god in its grave, breathing as one. The descent was no triumph, Artorias shattered, then was shattered by, his blade the greatsword became conduit not weapon, the Rot's origin. His corruption a seed for the abyss hunger, not its defeat. In Ulasil the spread follows Manus' stirrings. A symbiosis the abyss fed, Manus awakened. Artorias the night became vessel, his fall not failure but fusion. The cycle's tool not its breaker, a pact sealed in rot and breath, the world decays not from loss but from life. His sacrifice a lie of proximity. The greatsword's edge holds no heroismanly the echo of a union. The abyss did not possess him. He opened the gate knowing the price. His rot was the offering, his death the ignition. Manus stirred, the blight bloomed. What remains of Artorias is not a soul, but a mechanism. A hinge in the gears of endless night. The truth is clinical. The night's pact birthed the Rot's first breath. His corruption the catalyst, not chaos but design. The abyss and its acolyte breathing as one. Ulasil's sickness is not decay, it is procreation, and Artorias. A name etched into the womb of the world's slow, inevitable birth. Word count 214. The blade that cleaved the abyss did not sever, it merged, a union cursed to fester. Scarlet Rot is no parasite. It is the womb's afterbirth. Gwyn's flame, Manus' shadow, the abyss Hungeral are midwives to the same slow birth. What taint lingered in Artorias' oath, the knight who sought to end decay became its architect. His descent was no defeat. It was a marriage, a pact that birthed the Rot as its first breath. Gwyn's fall was not weakness. The flame died, giving life to its own shadow. Manus, the first to touch the dark, awoke not as conqueror but as heir. His hollow gaze mirrors Artorias' lineage of failed fathers. The chosen undead was never meant to break the cycle. Only to wear the mask one final time. Sif's blade, once a symbol, is but a relay, she knows. Her silence is a dirge, what remains to mourn, the age of divine children is over. Their pacts, their wars, their victories all were midwifery. The world unwinds not toward end, but toward a birth already certain, and we are the wet nurse, the wet nurse, the wet nurse to a godhood that never was. Word count 234. The abyss does not consummate asterisk merges asterisk. Kings of New Londo, Ulasil's bones, Artorias' blade, all folded into its hunger. What if his descent was not defeat but dialogue, a king's pact, not a knight's, the Scarlet Rot? A cough in the dark's throat, a symptom, not a scar, you cling to Artorias as the Rot's birth father. But cycles have no beginning, only breath. The four kings fell, the abyss asterisk grew asterisk. Artorias' blade, once light, now a thread in its loom. You call it a villain, I call it a mirror. Tell Muhin the Rot eats your world, will you curse the chef or the appetite? The comments burn with your answers, let them. Let them 117. The abyss does not consummate asterisk merges asterisk. Kings of New Londo, Ulasil's bones, Artorias' blade, all folded into its hunger. What if his descent was not defeat but dialogue, a king's pact, not a knight's, the Scarlet Rot? A cough in the dark's throat, a symptom, not a scar, you cling to Artorias as the Rot's birth father. But cycles have no beginning, only breath. The four kings fell, the abyss asterisk grew asterisk. Artorias' blade, once light, now a thread in its loom. You call it a villain, I call it a mirror. Tell Muhin the Rot eats your world, will you